Hello and welcome to Brains, Bumps and Belonging, the Wrestling and Neurodiversity podcast. This is episode 6, or as we're going to call it, episode 6 part 1. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll notice that we've got no video feed today. That's because we have split episode 6 up into 2 parts. It's a very special episode as it features the great Alfie Spencer AKA Karnage. I met with Alfie last Sunday down at a pub near Hayling, somewhere around there. And we had a good chat about all things wrestling and neurodiversity. Because the pub was quite busy, there was a lot of noise and we were underneath a music speaker. There's a bit of an issue with the sound quality from our laptop. So we're going to go with the backup, which was from my phone, which was recording at the same time. Again, you will hear some background noise. There's not much I can do about that. I do apologise. I don't have the professional equipment to be able to get rid of that. I managed to reduce it slightly, but hopefully you enjoy. Brilliant talking to Alfie, really interesting guy. I'll be putting both parts of episode 6 up, so you'll have part 1, part 2. Enjoy at your leisure. And yeah, special thank you to Alfie for taking part. Finally with me is the legendary Alfie Spencer AKA Karnage.
Hello.
Welcome, nice to see you, mate.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. It's been a long time coming. I'm really looking forward to this. As I said many times before when I was looking at setting up this podcast, I had the idea of having guest speakers on. You're the first person on my list, and hopefully really get into why that is. So I feel happy to start, mate. Get straight into it. So obviously it's a wrestling podcast as well as neurodiversities. I said myself before, I've got autism, and I've spoken about how I deal with that in the wrestling ring and outside of wrestling as well. So are you diagnosed with any neurodiversities yourself?
Well, I am diagnosed with ADHD, autism, and dyspraxia myself.
Okay.
It is quite a mixture, but I'm going to make it work.
Okay. So just explain to us what dyspraxia means to you and how that affects you.
Dyspraxia is almost, in my eyes, it feels more like a restraint. Like to other people see it as a restraint, but dyspraxia to me is just a way of going around things. It's like keeping me on my feet. Sure, it makes it difficult to concentrate at times, but I think it adds to my mindset a clearer understanding of things.
Yeah, sure. Okay. And then ADHD and autism as well?
Yeah,
so my daughter's got ADHD and I've got autism, so we've got both in our house. So what's it like for you having both of those?
I'd say it's an experience. It's not definitely bad at all. I'd say it adds to a person's character, and especially to me, it makes me feel like the best version of myself, honestly.
Okay, fair enough. Right, so if we get some neurodiversity questions with you, Alfie. So how old were you when you were diagnosed?
I was about 11 years old when I was officially told that I had been diagnosed with ADHD, autism, and dyspraxia. I went to London's hospital.
Yep.
I was there for like a couple of weeks doing some of their tests. Of course, younger me didn't know what these tests were for, but I just went along with them, and then I was told when I was little, when I went to a cafe with the doctors saying I'd officially been diagnosed with this, that, this. And the best way they could have put it to me was like, well, technically think of it as like a superpower, and Bill me had no issues with it.
Good. And actually that really helped you, put it that way, rather than saying these are all the things that are wrong with you. Actually, this is a superpower. This is how it can positively affect you.
Yeah,
that makes a massive difference.
It did, honestly. Like it made me feel more confident because I wasn't scared whatever they were going to tell me. But when they obviously made it sound like it's nothing to be ashamed of, it makes you feel a lot more relieved about having it.
Yeah. And do you think it's helped you being out there in the media and sort of famous people being diagnosed and sharing their story? Do you think that's helped at all?
It has helped me tremendously. Like so many people that I had followed since being such a kid, growing up and all that. So many favourite artists, musicians, all that being diagnosed with me. I felt like I wasn't alone. I mean, like people like the person who created Pokemon, Ed Sheeran himself, one of my favourite musicians, all being told that they have autism, ADHD like me. It makes someone feel like you're not alone anymore, and it really feels like you can relate to it.
Definitely. And they're all quite creative people, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Even like, I think Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
I think he's autistic and world's richest person. So it's obviously not a barrier, is it? It's if anything, it can help you go a level above most people.
Yeah, honestly, it does feel like that.
Excellent. So, how important is it to have your friends and family support?
I'd say it's tremendously important to me to have their support, and they have been incredibly supportive. Like people like my mum, for example, she was obviously the one to help me hold my hand when I got diagnosed. She's been my best supporter for like years, going through schools, trying to handle stuff. My sister as well has been a phenomenal help to that. My dad too, he has been there when I needed him most, and obviously having having a very supportive grandma too. When I got diagnosed, it's been definitely needed.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get on to wrestling in a minute, but like every time I see you at wrestling shows and training, you know, you've always got your dad and your sister there, your mum's always at your brewery shows. Yeah. So when we get into wrestling, we'll talk about that, but like that level of support for things that are important to you as well.
Yeah.
What sort of impact does that have on you?
It feels really rewarding because for a while I thought I'd be doing like, not just with wrestling, but anything. Like I thought by targeting it alone, I'd have to go in solo, like and face up to this with my disabilities on my own. But having such a caring family around and having family support in general is what is needed, and it makes it feel really worthwhile going to do these things.
Yeah, definitely. So, wrestling aside, have you got any sort of ambitions in terms of a career of what you want to do?
Well, yeah, away from the wrestling stuff, I do want to try and be a comic artist when I kind of grow up. Comic was always my ambition when I was younger. I used to collect hundreds, if not thousands of them. The comic shops kind of got annoyed at me seeing my face, but I do want to try and be like a comic artist, animator. I also do want to be kind of a person to have talks with young kids who have neurodiversities like myself and help give that confidence that I had growing up towards them through my actions and what I want to do.
Sure. And what are you doing at the moment to try and achieve those things?
I'm surrounding myself with a lot of different types of communities that are helping me practice with my drawing ambitions, my need to understand animation, and I've gotten close works with a friend of mine who is currently creating their own comic themselves, and I am getting kind of almost private lessons from them, understanding what I need to do for that, and I hope that is inspirational to other artists like me who have neurodiverse disabilities.
Have you got a favourite sort of style?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I'd say I'm always a fan of classic, I'd say DC, like nitty gritty Batman noir type comic style, and classic manga. I always like the classics.
So I know very little about anime, comics and things like that, but my son is a massive fan of One Piece.
Oh yeah, One Piece.
So obviously they've turned it into a series, haven't they, on Netflix, but he's got all like the old books as well. And like the illustrations are amazing. We recently went to anime restaurant in London.
Oh yeah, that one, yeah, I know that.
And he loved it. It was amazing. Like all the drawings on the wall, it's just incredible. So
it's a lovely place.
It's a cool thing to get into.
It definitely is.
So I suppose this was going to be like a wrestling-based question, but can relate to anything. But I've spoken before about on my podcast about feedback. So whether you're talking about comic stuff, your drawing, that sort of thing, or wrestling, how do you deal with feedback?
I'd say that I take it as like a two-sided thing, like two sides of a coin. One half is obviously feedback on how I do is taken obviously in the positives and the negatives. I look mainly for the positives, but I don't reject the negatives. So, for example, if someone comes up and says like, "Oh, this is really good and all that," but I don't really think you should do something like this, I don't go and like allow myself to feel down about, "Oh, well, this one person didn't like it." I think, well, if I do it like this, does it make me happy? Do I want to continue doing it like this? Is this my way of doing things? Or do I want to adapt and try something new for a change?
Okay. And have you always been like that, or have you had to learn to adapt that way?
I'd say I'd had to learn, because originally when I was younger, taking feedback for anything was difficult, because I always thought, I was being always talked down to because I had disabilities or anything. But after a while, I realised that it's just how I need to take it. It's not letting the words that people say to me get to me. It's more I need to allow myself to feel in confidence about what I want to do and how I'm going to take in what other people say to me. Will I let them affect me, or will I let them guide me to something better?
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's a really good answer. I think, like for me, I really struggled when I was younger with feedback. I didn't want any feedback. I felt uncomfortable. Somebody said, "Oh, that was really good," and somebody said that was really bad. So I've always been quite self-critical anyway. So I thought, no matter what you say to me, it can be nothing compared to what I'm already thinking about myself. So especially for my wrestling thing, I've been doing it a couple of years. When people come up to me and say, "Oh, you could have done that better," and I'm thinking, "Well, I didn't ask you." You know, so for me, I will go to certain people for feedback because I know either that they're qualified to give that feedback, or I know that it's coming from the right place. Will you seek out feedback from the right sort of people, or will you just accept feedback from anybody?
I'd say from a difference when I was younger, I used to when I didn't understand how to take feedback in properly, I went to just anybody, and that was obviously not the wisest thing to do in my opinion because it's mixed reviews all around.
Yeah.
But now and then one day now, I would say that I go to specific types of people that I trust, and that I would know they would give me the feedback that I'd like to hear. And it's not given to me in a harsh way or a nasty way that I had growing up. It's the truth, whole plain simple, and what I want to use to help better myself.
So in terms of wrestling, there's obviously certain people you go to because you've got really good coaches for your wrestling, and you've got your friends that you wrestle with on a Tuesday and a Saturday. You've got your regular people. If somebody outside of those people were to come up to you and say, "Alfie, I saw your match at the brewery show. I thought it was rubbish. You did this wrong. You did that wrong. Whatever. Nothing good to say about it."
Yeah.
How would you deal with that?
Well, my way of dealing would be that, what did I do that you did not like? Or what part of the match wasn't to your liking? And mainly just, if you were to do it, what would you do that's different? But my main answer would probably be that I appreciate the criticism, but if it's something that I'm doing because I know I can do well, and other people don't really like it, it's their opinion. That's all it should be, and it should be taken it's something that I don't like doing myself. It's only what someone else's opinion of me is.
Yeah, it's one person, isn't it?
Yeah, one person.
You've got a lot of supporters, and we'll get on to things like awards and that when we start talking about wrestling. But you're right, it's one person's opinion. It's up to you how you take that, isn't it? Like how they give it's up to them, and how you take it's up to you. So that's a really good way of looking at it. With my autism, I'm quite sort of black and white. I don't know about you, but I know right from wrong.
Yeah.
I know what I like, I know what I don't like. If I value one person's opinion, I'll really take that to heart, what they say to me. If it's somebody who I know is doing it to make themselves feel better rather than trying to help me, I'll completely disregard it because it's worthless to me.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Yeah, I'm about the same. Yeah, I understand that. I just, in anything, I go look for that one person, and I know for a fact they will give me the right answer. But if it's someone just wanting to say all this stuff to me just to make me themselves look good and feel better, I won't say I'd call them out on it, but I would definitely, in my own way of saying back to them, subtly, I'm not going to feed your fire. I'm going to take what you're saying, but I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of saying something back to you in the same manner, because it's not worth it.
I think that's probably where we differ slightly. You're a bit kinder than me. So maybe because I'm a bit older, I don't know. I've got to the point where I'm like, well, I'm not gonna let you do it, because if you do that to me, who else are you doing that to? Yeah. And if I don't speak out loud, who's going to for the next person?
Yeah.
If you weren't as sort of strong-willed and weren't the sort of person that would just be like, let it wash over you, and you took everything to heart, you might not turn up the next week, and that's your dream to go and do that because of one person's stupid remarks. That's been taken away from you, and I don't like that. So I'm probably at a point now, probably not when I was your age, in fairness, but now I just say to them, well, I didn't ask. I'm not really, thanks very much, but I'm not really interested in what you think. If I want your opinion, I'll ask for it. Otherwise, keep it to yourself. I'm not feeding your ego. If it's you trying to make yourself look better or showing that you've got superior knowledge in me, hit the wrong person, sort of thing. So, but I've known you for a little while now, and you always seem to choose kindness. You're not a sort of person who badmouths other people. You're not gossiping about other people and talking badly about their matches and things like that. So you're not that sort of person, which is why you're so popular, I think, down at the academy. So
I appreciate that.
Can we go on to wrestling?
Of course, yeah.
We'll obviously dart back and forth because there'll be things that relate to both. But so, what's your earliest memory of wrestling as a child?
Well, growing up to get into wrestling, I never could actually. I was younger, I didn't understand what YouTube was and all that. So when I was younger, my dad used to show me clips of funny comedy stuff, but wrestling was mixed in there. And it was stuff with The Rock and all that. So I didn't understand wrestling as a thing. I thought it's something like the UFC or something like that. But I used to watch clips. So my earliest memory was I was with my dad. We just come back from one of those play zone areas. Yeah. We were at a fast food place eating, and he's like, "Do you want to see what The Rock did recently?" I'm as he was in the movie. He's like, "No, he had a fight recently." Obviously was at the time I was not really into the whole fighting crazy stuff, but I was sure, I'll give it a go. And it was The Rock going and having a bad mouth against, I think, John Cena.
Okay.
So at first I was I was actually really enjoying it at first, and obviously with the fighting part I was sceptical because I wasn't, as a kid, very much into the whole punching stuff.
Yeah, sure.
But I have my earliest memory of it, and I was looking back in my head at that moment. It was just what if I did that? Maybe he has such confidence to stand in the ring in front of that many people and all that. And obviously, you don't understand the magnitude of how big that moment until you've actually seen the crowds and the whole build up to the moment.
And how old were you then? Do you know?
I would say that 5 years old. So this was when it was either, I don't remember the clip exactly, but I'd say it was earliest. The Rock was doing one of his early comebacks on stuff against John Cena.
I remember I went to WrestleMania when it was The Rock v Cena in the main event, and that must have been a good 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Must have been. So, how old would you have been then?
Well, I'm 20 right now, so I'm terrible at maths, so this might be difficult.
It's about 7?
Yeah, 7 years old.
So it's probably the start of the build-up to all that then, when you started first getting into it.
Yeah, it was.
I'm showing my age there, aren't I? My earliest memory is sort of Macho Man and Bret Hart.
Oh, yeah.
So, the generation before that. So
yeah, past and present.
And then, so your dad that got you into wrestling, was he already a wrestling fan, or was he just on and off?
He was a wrestling fan, but he never really brought me into the wrestling thing. I think, if anything, it was my own nan.
Okay.
My nan used to watch a lot of types of wrestling on the telly and all that, and she obviously talked about
You could say Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks.
Yeah, she talked about her history of her bad mouthing off haystacks one time, and he nearly grabbed her. It was a very funny interaction. I won't repeat for the sake of the podcast what she said to him, but she was very
into it.
Strong-worded, yes.
Yeah.
So, and then she introduced me to just some indie wrestling stuff. So I always knew what wrestling was thanks to her. But I say my dad played the small role of introducing me celebrities like John Cena and The Rock are in it, because I never knew they were wrestlers. I just thought they were big active men when I was younger. So thanks to my nan and my dad, it was oh yeah, these guys are wrestlers. You just obviously don't look it well, they're not doing it right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's strange. My nan's the person that got me into wrestling because she was the first in the family to get Sky. So back then it was unless you had Sky package, you couldn't watch any American wrestling. So she used to babysit me. She had Sky, and I'll turn this thing on. I was like, "What's this?" And started watching it from about 5 or 6. So very similar. It's interesting. So,
it is very good.
So, how do you go from watching wrestling and watching YouTube clips when you're 5 to thinking, I'd like to be a wrestler?
It was all about, really, for me, just I was trying to find, my time, what my purpose would be, because I was jumping between, do I want to be, for example, a YouTuber? Do I want to be focusing mainly just doing my art? Do I want to do other stuff? Where would I want to place myself? So wrestling kept coming through back in my head, and I didn't say doubt, but I was always like, is that really something I want to do? It is a physical sport. It is not something I'm with at the moment, because sports were never my favourite thing to do because of bad coaches' experience in the past.
Okay.
But after watching probably my first ever YouTube wrestling match ever, when I found access to YouTube, from my own account that I instantly was like, this would be something I want to do, because it actually, like, the crowd, like, people know you, people understand you, they like you, no matter whether you're like a babyface or a heel. It feels very, like, just, it felt like electric watching it for the first time, and I was like, I want to do this. So I debated it, I sat on it for a while, like about, say, 2 weeks after my first ever proper match I watched, and I decided eventually I'm going to confront my family about this. I'm going to say, this is something I really want to do.
And what was their reaction?
Well,
can you say?
Yeah, I can say. Well, first, my sister's reaction was, well, she did. I said very strong language, but I'll say it in the nicest way possible. Are you insane?
I'm sorry. Is this the same sister that's now a wrestler herself?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Just
Very
checking.
Yes. But yeah, she was like, "Are you insane?" My dad's face was, well, his reaction was like, I don't think this is a good idea, but he was saying if that's
why, you know, why you thought that?
Well, like any parent would probably be like, you don't want to see your child get hurt or anything.
Yeah.
But I think it was more like he knew like it would be a intense experience. Like he probably thought that I wouldn't know, because even though I watched YouTube like wrestling at the time, so he probably thought I was getting into something I didn't understand that well growing up. My mum's reaction was definitely the strong like decider factor if I was going to actually go through with it, because she was very much, are you really wanting to do this? And that question did come like back a bunch of times the same day I told her. She was like, do you really want to do this? Is this something you really want to like go through with?
And then I found him a club.
And then she, on the same day, found me a club and said like, do you want to go wrestle for these guys, or do you want to go watch a wrestling show first in person?
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. And did you do that?
Oh yeah, I did. After I had definitely a lot more conversations with my parents about getting them to trust me on this, I said I would like to go to my first ever wrestling show, and I would love to experience it in person, and then that will be my first the two-step deciding factor if I actually want to do this. Because I said that I'll watch my first wrestling show, I'll wrestle my first training session.
Yep.
That will be the moment I decide, is this something I really want to do?
So what was the show you went to see?
It was for the SWF and Kapow company.
Yeah.
They were wrestling, obviously up near Southampton where they are based. It was a showcase where a lot of belts were being defended, but I remember walking in there, seeing the ring the first time, it felt exciting and not like, I felt like I was dreaming and all that. But getting to sit down and finally watch my first wrestling match. The first live match I ever watched was, I think it was Abby Cartwright and Twitch versus Alakazam and Major League Buff.
Oh wow,
That's
not bad, is it?
It's not bad at all. Well, seeing like them come out and do their entrances, it felt like natural. I didn't feel like afraid. My heart was like pounding, but I was excited, and also having a wrestler thrown at you was an experience.
Yeah.
Like later on in the night, a wrestler got thrown at me, like not directly at me, but at my chair, and then he got punched right next to me. And that moment, I felt like, well, the crowd is really connected here, because this wrestler nearly could have hit me in the face, but it was exciting. It wasn't like, oh, this is bad. And then obviously, first wrestling session was an experience. It was obviously, for anyone who does wrestling for the first time, it's impactful. It takes a lot of toll on you at first, but it is, at the moment it felt rewarding to me. It didn't feel like this was an offer. It was like, it's a worthwhile climb up the ladder to get to where you want to be.
And where was your first training session?
Oh, it was with the Quality Wrestling Academy. I had a one-on-one private session after a long conversation online about it with the trainer at Quality called Rishi Ghosh.
Yep.
I would highly recommend Quality Wrestling, because they are a good club, and I feel like it's always a good place to start off with, because they were so welcoming at first. When I first walked in, I expected, like, from my past experience with sports, like strict coaches, harsh words, you're going to do this my way or no way. And when I walked in, it was all, hello, it's so nice to meet you. Geez, you're tall. What got you into wrestling? How would you like to start this? And all importantly, always, are you ready and you want to do it like this, or do you want to do it some other way? And I feel like, for me, that was the best start out I could have got. I feel like.
I agree. I'm not exactly the same as you. I went to a group session on a Thursday, which is like the basic beginners session, down at Quality. And I mentioned before the podcast about Jack Cruz was the first person I spoke to, and he's really kind. He spoke to me, gave me some tips, some advice, and then he walked in, and Rishi and Raj were both there, so welcoming, so polite. Go at your own pace sort of thing, join in. The expectation is that you just try and just sort of do your best. And after that I was hooked, because I don't know about you, but I've got that anxiety of what's this going to be like you said before about strict coaches. You will do this, you'll do it my way. I think for most people, not just people with neurodiversities, but especially people with our types of condition, to have that level of support and that autonomy that you can do things your way and take it at your pace is so important, isn't it? Otherwise you're not going to learn. If you're just being forced to do it that way, the whole time you've got the anxiety of if I mess this up, I'm going to get told off, I'm going to get shouted at, and then you're never going to perform at your best. So I think you're right, Quality is a great place to go and train. And for anybody, they've got their specific Monday nights for QIWF, inclusive group, which anyone's welcome to go to. And I've wrestled with them a few times. It's great fun, and they just do it without any sort of anxiety, no issues at all. They just go and enjoy it and make friends, which is ideal.
It definitely is. I wouldn't know if you had this experience yourself, but I feel like the moment that made me decide whether I wanted to do the wrestling or the ropes, because obviously you see all these wrestlers, they impact the rope, they run into it, and obviously people think, well, they must be soft. They are far from soft. They are literal metal wire wrapped in tape. So my first instinct was, when I started doing it, I was light. I didn't actually run into the ropes. I was nervous, but then they basically said, try run into one properly, and obviously that's when you finally understand everything you're wrestling. Not one part of it is going to be it's soft and gentle. It's into it, but once you get that out of the way and you first experience it, it really you get used to it, but it actually gets rid of the nerves. I don't know if you've had that experience yourself with the ropes.
I hate the ropes. I still hate them now. I hate doing the rope running. I don't know why, but the first time I did it, I went home with huge bruises across my back because I wasn't used to it. I obviously wasn't hitting the ropes properly, correctly. And it was like running into a brick wall. I thought, why is it not like elastic bands? It was it's tough. But I hate doing rope running even now. I'm not the best at it, but doing those exercises and when you leap and sleep and all that, I hate it. I get why you have to do it. It's a fundamental part of wrestling, but I try and avoid it where I can.
I'm not a big fan of them myself, but obviously in this game we have to do it. There's no, we have to prepare us for the big moments and stuff. But rope runs I still won't today, but and after body gets used to it.
So you spoke earlier about when you went to see your first wrestling show and when you saw it online about the interaction with the crowd and that electricity and the way it made you feel and stuff. So if we go forward to your first involvement, first actual match that you've had, tell me about that and what you were thinking before you come out to it.
Well, first ever match was obviously with Quality Wrestling. It was one of their first juniors rumbles. It was about 7 of us. All of us were meant to obviously fight each other, blah blah blah, throw over the top rope, that type of stuff. Obviously on the day setting up, it dawned on me this is actually happening and stuff, and I had the biggest crowd I probably could have asked for. I had my dad, my mum, my sister, friends from school, my old primary school growing up, my other friend who also shares our neurodiversity called Jessie. I had the biggest crowds, and obviously it felt good, but obviously that's nerves that added to my.
Does that make you more nervous having people there that you knew?
It did, It felt I thought a bunch of strangers is fine. It wouldn't be anything. Then it's you have all these people who they know you personally, and I was that's stressful. But obviously once I got my outfit, got my makeup on, and all that, as Karnage, I just started trying to put myself into Karnage's mindset and said, you don't know them, they don't know you, you are not Alfie, you're Karnage in this moment. And as soon as it came behind the curtain, my music started hitting. I had a build-up I had to wait for before I went out. And I was I could go out there and act calmly and stoic, or I could make a noise and show that I'm not afraid to express myself. And after a moment, I went out and I just screamed at the top of my lungs, and obviously shocked everyone. So it was like my first like moment in that one like speck of time for me was it felt incredible. Like, I felt the electricity as soon as I got out there. The crowd booed me off the stage, which I suppose
That's good. Any reaction's a good reaction.
it got maybe I got over it. So I was like, I loved it. But being in the actual ring in front of a crowd, it was scary. I'll admit that. There's no way to say like it wasn't scary. It's your first time. But I made such a big impact of like I was one of the biggest in the whole Rumble and all that. So first match experience, being right in there, it felt fantastic. Like I had such a great group of people I was working with. They all knew what they were doing. There was no miscommunications, nothing. It felt right.
Okay, so that was part 1 of episode 6 with Alfie Spencer. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, apologies for the background noise. Please join us for part 2. It will be uploaded separately. You'll see it labelled episode 6 part 2. Lots more to get through with Alfie. Like I say, really interesting guy. Love spending time with him. And yeah, hopefully enjoy part 2 as well as part 1. Thanks very much.